One Kamala Harris is good, but two? Now that's a double dose of awesome. In a surprise move, Kamala Harris, our Democratic presidential nominee, took a break from the campaign trail to pop up on Saturday Night Live.
I love good news. Love good news. I just love good news.
Now, if there's one thing SNL is known for, it's poking fun at politics. And politicians love joining in to show they can laugh at themselves. Over the years, we've seen everyone from Obama to Hillary Clinton, and even Donald Trump make their way onto the show.
Who is that under there?
And this week, Harris brought her trademark joyful warrior energy right to the stage. But here's the fun twist. She showed up opposite none other than Maya Rudolph, the actor who's been hilariously nailing Harris's vibe on the show since 2019.
Belief in the promise of America.
The sketch starts with Maya as Kamala preparing to deliver a speech in Philly, joined by hilarious cameos from Dana Carvey as Joe Biden, Jim Gaffigan as Tim Walz, and Andy Samberg as Kamala's husband, Doug Emhoff.
Joe, thank you so much for all you've done for my campaign.
I can still do more and get out there and I can say more things.
Thank you so much for all you've done for my campaign.
But then, she's left alone, and something magical happens.
I wish I could talk to someone who's been in my shoes, you know? A Black, South Asian woman running for president, preferably from the Bay Area.
Yes, it is Harris herself who appears in the mirror. The crowd, they lost it. Kamala opened with reminding Maya as Kamala that she's got something her opponent doesn't.
You got this. Because you can do something your opponent cannot do. You can open doors.
A little jab at Trump's recent mishap with a garbage truck door. The shade was real, guys.
This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
Then Maya let out her classic over-the-top laugh, and Kamala's reaction? Absolutely priceless.
Do I? A little bit.
It was comedy gold, and a throwback to when Hillary Clinton asked the same thing about her own laugh on SNL back in 2008.
Do I really laugh like that?
Oh, well.
Then came the Kamala pep talk.
Take my Pamela. The American people want to stop the chaos.
And end the drama.
Oh, and they kept the rhymes coming, finally speaking in unison.
Because what do we always say? Keep Kamala and carry on, Allah.
Maya wrapped it up by saying she'd vote for them both, and Kamala couldn't help but throw in a clever question.
Any chance you are registered in Pennsylvania?
Nope, I am not. Well, it was worth a shot.
Well, who could blame her, right? What a fantastic skit it turned out to be. However, not every SNL moment hits the mark. Now let's take a look at some of the worst appearances that left audiences scratching their heads instead of laughing. First up, one of the most talked about appearances has to be Donald Trump's 2015 turn on the show.
Wonderful to be here. I will tell you, this is going to be something special.
His SNL hosting gig wasn't a total disaster, but it wasn't exactly a comedy hit either. He stood by as the cast, including Daryl Hammond and Taran Killam, mocked him non-stop.
Great. Isn't he doing fantastic?
Surprisingly, Trump didn't throw a fit or file a lawsuit, which, given his track record, is impressive. His 2015 appearance, right in the middle of his presidential campaign, drew huge ratings, 9.3 million viewers. But it also sparked protests and plenty of backlash from critics. While it wasn't his finest moment, NBC definitely got the ratings boost they were after.
We have got a great show tonight.
And who could forget Justin Bieber's 2013 episode? Bieber, at the height of his pop stardom, showed up with an entourage of over 20 people. Yes, over 20. One person's actual job was to hold pizza for Bieber. According to Bill Hader, Justin was the only host to fully embrace the diva lifestyle, and let's just say it didn't go well.
Bieber was, he just was in a bad place. Maybe he's in a better place, but then he was it was rough.
The episode flopped, with Bieber's lack of comedic timing and backstage tension making it one of the more disappointing ones.
Who are you?
I'm a runaway, okay?
But honestly, the sketches he appeared in just feel off. Just take a look.
It's just that I'm very lonely and I would like to give you a bath.
I'm gonna be contacting Gloria Allred. This is not
Not all disastrous hosting gigs are recent, though. Going back to 2005, Paris Hilton's time on SNL left much to be desired.
I've had a great time this week. It's been very exciting to do live TV because there are no tapes whatsoever involved, and that makes me very happy.
According to Tina Fey, Hilton took herself far too seriously and was more concerned with her image than having fun on set. Tina even called Paris one of the worst hosts the show had seen.
Paris Hilton, I would kill myself.
She's a piece of shit.
The result? A painfully awkward episode that lacked any of the humor SNL is known for.
The Hiltons own hotels all over the world, right?
Yes, they're New York, London, Paris.
Oh, wait, so it actually is a Paris Hilton?
Yes, there is.
Adrien Brody's 2003 hosting gig is unforgettable, but not for the right reasons. Fresh off his Oscar win for The Pianist, he thought he could spice things up with his own ideas, which always seemed to feature him as a rapper.
Yeah, baby. You know the crime pay me. We wild in this place.
But instead of a fun twist, he ended up clashing with the SNL crew. But what sealed his fate was an unscripted and offensive intro for musical guest Sean Paul, complete with a faux Jamaican accent and dreadlocks.
Jamaica, man, you know, Rastafari,
His improvisation didn't land well, coming off as more cringy than clever, and it earned him a permanent spot on the SNL banned list. Turning to Rudy Giuliani, his hosting appearance in the wake of the September 11th attacks was undoubtedly well-intentioned, but let's face it, his comedic timing was off.
After all, tonight, if I'm not good, what are they gonna do? Blow up my car?
Watching him in sketches, like pretending to be a grandma, felt awkward.
The kids need more pop. The kids are smashed, Mom. No, they're not. They're just happy.
Despite his efforts, the audience just didn't connect with him. Sometimes, even the most well-meaning guests can miss the mark. Fast forward to 2011, when Katy Perry took the stage. Like many singers trying their hand at comedy, she had a tough time fitting into the skits.
It brings me very happy to be here. I have brought you un koro, which means Japanese for a gift.
By the end of the night, she found herself in more supporting roles, and it was clear the comedic chemistry just wasn't there.
Have you plans for the holidays, Your Majesty?
Piss off.
I beg pardon?
To make things even more interesting, her relationship with comedian Russell Brand reportedly ended soon after. Some say her SNL performance might have had something to do with it. I guess when it comes to relationships, a good sense of humor is key, because if you can't laugh together, you might just end up singing solo. Lindsay Lohan's return to the SNL stage in 2012 was another disappointment. The writers leaned heavily into jokes about her instability and sobriety, which left her visibly uncomfortable.
So good to see you again. I forgot how beautiful your eyes are.
Thanks, Keenan.
Can I see them?
Okay.
Yeah, can I see your eyes, please?
Lohan stumbled through her lines and spent much of the night glancing nervously at cue cards, transforming what could have been a career comeback into a cringe-worthy event.
I'm sorry, what keeps happening with the phone?
You know what? Sometimes I get prank phone calls. It's neighborhood kids.
But you have to give her credit. She was brave to participate despite the pressure. For a more bizarre example, let's talk about Milton Berle, who was already an entertainment icon by the time he hosted SNL in 1979. He didn't exactly play nice with Lorne Michaels and the cast. Berle had a serious need for control, even going so far as to orchestrate his own standing ovation. Can you imagine that? It didn't sit well with Michaels. His brash behavior, both on and off camera, led to one of the most infamous bans in SNL history. On the more divisive side of things, Andrew Dice Clay's 1990 episode sparked outrage even before the show aired. Known for his crude and misogynistic humor, Clay's presence led cast member Nora Dunn to boycott the episode. The tension was palpable, and the result was an episode that felt defensive and mean-spirited.
One of my fellow cast members has refused to appear tonight.
That's better, because I am not legitimizing this thing, this man, this whatever they say he is. I'm angry, really.
More recently, Dave Chappelle's 2022 appearance generated its own controversy. Following his Netflix specials that faced backlash for jokes about the transgender community, his hosting gig touched on sensitive topics once again. While Chappelle avoided those specific jokes, his comments on anti-Semitism still managed to stir up criticism.
I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. And I stand with my friends in the Jewish community. And that, Kanye, is how you buy yourself some time.
And remember Tom Green? Well, let's just say his hosting was a matter of taste. His over-the-top, obnoxious humor definitely has its fans, but it's not for everyone. Instead of trying to win over SNL's regular viewers, Tom decided to give them the full Tom Green experience. Think weird noises and rubbing up against his co-stars. Yeah, it was something. You could argue he nailed his brand of comedy, but as far as hosting Saturday Night Live goes, not so much. When Lance Armstrong hosted SNL in 2005, he was on top of the world. He'd beaten cancer, his yellow Livestrong wristbands were everywhere, and he was dodging investigations into doping. Oh, and he was dating Sheryl Crow, but all that success brought a cockiness that didn't sit well. He and the cast made smug jokes about the people trying to bring him down, and it felt off back then. Watching it now, after his doping scandal, it's almost painful. Safe to say this episode hasn't aged well. Oh, Steven Seagull, the man who dominated action movies in the 80s and 90s and somehow thought comedy was the same game. Spoiler alert, it wasn't.
My newest film, Out for Justice, which is #1 in the nation right now.
Seagull's hosting gig on SNL was a disaster of epic proportions. Actually, he was named the worst host ever by anyone working at SNL at the time.
A lot of other people that were at SNL have cited him and that week as the example of the worst host and week.
Not only did he refuse to play along with the cast's jokes, but he countered with his own ideas that basically had him playing himself while ranting about things he hated. Yeah, real charming.
Listen to me carefully. I don't want you to talk about anything to me anymore. I don't want you to say my name anymore.
His performance was so bad that by the end, it felt like everyone was just waiting for him to say, "You know what? I'm out." But he didn't, although maybe he should have. Even Lorne Michaels admitted it was a really tough week. And, thank the comedy gods, Seagull was never invited back. Ouch. So, there you have it. Some of the wildest, most controversial, and downright disastrous hosting gigs in SNL history. But now it's your turn. Who do you think was the absolute worst host ever? And on the flip side, who's your all-time favorite? Let's discuss in the comments.